All right.
Yeah, like that was years ago.
Hey, I would like to thank everybody for coming to the September 9th, 2024 City of Idaho Springs work session. We have 6 items on the agenda. And we would like to kick it off with the train shelter update. Pretty good looking structure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we got some drawings here and some approximate prices as well.
If you'd like us to start talking about
Please,
it.
sure.
We only took the drawings to a certain point, enough that we could get a cost estimate done. Because we didn't want to get it too far along and then find out that it was too expensive to construct.
Right.
So you've seen the number, right? And
Two numbers.
the two numbers, and we can go through the cost estimate and detail that.
So we're around 1.4 million-ish.
1.5.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did have, we do have a couple of options. And you guys have seen those previously, I believe. But anyway, those two options, one is with brick clad columns, with the brick matching the city hall. And then the other option would be with exposed steel columns. And so the cost estimates that we got, there really isn't much difference between the two options. And in your packet, those two options are on sheet A4 and 4A. I think the bottom of the sheet got cut off, but you guys can see, what the proposal is. So anyway, yeah, we got the two estimates, and there was really not much of a difference between the two.
$50,000 savings if you don't have the brick columns.
Right.
So
anyway, I just wanted to get your input.
And just, the site plan that we started to develop shows the entire site. But this cost estimate only includes the site work basically at the footprint of the shelter. So it doesn't include any of the work down to the south or.
Right. Because that'll, we want to get a civil engineer and, we've been working with JPA Structural. But we didn't want to develop the site too far. I mean, we've gotten a lot of really good input on the site development, but since we don't have a civil engineer involved yet, we didn't have the site work estimated. So you could just kind of get a feeling for the cost of the shelter itself.
Yeah, so I'd like to go around and check in with council and see what you think about the drawings and pricing so far.
No, be good. So I do have some questions. So when you say you haven't done any of the site work, does this does not include removing the parking lot, the existing parking lot, and restructuring?
That's correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
So that's one thing, and then
It does include removing the part of the parking lot that sits underneath the canopy itself, right? So it's just the shelter, right? It's just
Okay.
the concrete sidewalk that's immediately adjacent to it is included in the cost. But
All the other improvements like.
Can I state it another way? So
Sure.
basically, this estimate just includes the shelter and everything related to the changes that need to occur just for the shelter installation.
so not the top
Is
lot,
that right?
But
not
it does
the
include
new parking.
it does not include the top lot or the parking, right?
Okay.
Yeah, Andy's right.
Yeah. It does not include moving of the train. But it does include the ballast and setting the track, I believe. Is that a line item in there?
Yeah. Let's see. The movement of gauge, railroad track, and ballast. And stone salvage rails, yeah, so it does, okay, it does include that.
You can see, excuse me, leaves on the second page, there are exclusions that you may have seen on the estimate. It says that no landscaping beyond the immediate footprint of the shelter is included.
Yeah.
The locomotive and cars to be restored and set by others. geotechnical engineering by design team, and it also includes also civil engineering.
Okay. Last question, and then I think I'm done. Does this include, will this clean up this parking lot over here because you have to clean it up to get everything set for the shelter?
To the extent of your property line.
Yeah, no, because I like the idea that we would be changing things, so because depending on who moves into the building next door, like that parking lot is challenging for both parties. So I like the idea that we have a very specific boundary and we don't have to do a parking lot. I love the idea that we do parking.
Seems like it works well.
I think it makes it easier to manage. Okay, I think I'm done.
So can I just add a little more? So it does include the curbing, the sidewalk replacement immediately adjacent to the train shelter. Is
Yes.
that fair to say?
Yes.
But it doesn't include things like moving the train.
Right.
onto the
No, that's
new-
us.
Onto the new track. Landscaping beyond the immediate
That's
train
right.
site.
Right.
So all of the landscaping, the top lot that might happen, the moving the parking spaces from over here, over to
Does
the
not
back,
include that.
that sort of thing. Those are some of the big things that's included.
Right.
Right, you can kind of see on the estimate, under concrete, which is 03-01-100. It does describe the concrete that's included, which includes the flat work and the ramp. The replacement of the curb and gutter at 17. And it also includes the concrete piers, although they're not listed here, but those were over in the note.
Right.
Just add a little bit more if I may, just,
Sure.
I want to make sure, you know, we're clear on the split between what's included here, what's not. So the greenway would be restored through that area,
Yes.
okay? And the edge with the parking lot at the property line would be a new edge.
Right.
We think so. We haven't sat down and gone through with a fine tooth comb what he's included, but we're just going by his description. But yet we would assume that it's, yes, the concrete sidewalk along the greenway is included as part
I
of
would like to see that like in writing,
Okay.
so that it's not, we don't get to the end of, if we do this, we don't get to the end of the project and they're like, yeah, but it's not in there. You know,
We're far from the bidding process. We still have to do all the details. So we just wanted to stop at this point and make sure that it's okay, you're okay with the cost.
And it's kind of a high level estimate too, is the other thing we want to emphasize. You know, we have not provided or produced construction documents yet. We've got some pretty detailed drawings that Spectrum was able to work from for this high level estimate.
But no civil engineering drawings.
Right.
They need. There's quite a bit of civil engineering work.
And unfortunately, I don't know what grant we would draw on. I know Jonathan was on the hunt because none of us really wanted for the train car to come back and deteriorate in the weather.
I don't think they're gonna let us
They're not
have
gonna let
it.
us do that.
But there's no way we have that kind of money laying around
No.
to do this.
I think this is the type of project that would be eligible for the energy impact mineral fund grant. So I do believe this would be an eligible project. I think as far as the historic History Colorado fund, state historic fund, we'd like to go after funding for the locomotive. So I think that's our, where the passenger car is nearly complete.
Yep.
To be completed by the end of this year. We'd like to get that back here and then come up with a plan to get the locomotive restored. So we're thinking that the state historic fund would be that would be a good candidate for the state historic fund. Again, we might need some additional funding beyond that for sure, but that's kind of the thinking on funding right now. There may be other sources as well, but I think there are some funding sources out there for this project.
Well, it's a good time to talk about it as we enter budget season and we set aside something for a match. But this definitely gives us something to go by. Jeremy, your thoughts?
Yeah. I thought.
Yeah.
Is a lot of money we don't have, is the, I think it's the issue of finding grants and other opportunities, is something we have to look at very seriously.
Yep.
It's a good project, and at the end of the day, it's what we need to do, it's how do we fund it when we're doing all the other projects for.
Exactly. Kate, what do you think?
Well, I think everybody's already said, except for Scott, what I'm thinking as well. In my mind, scaling it back to the basic design that we could add on to in the future with the adornments that are probably more costly than we can afford right now, would be my best bet. That would be what I would be looking at, especially if we're gonna ask for money. I mean, it's nice to be as beautiful as we possibly can be, but maybe we space it out and say, okay, the pillars are for another year, because it sounds like you can put the brick pillars around the existing pillar, correct?
It's a different design, but
Faux pillar, yeah.
you could do the steel option and then come back and add the brick cladding. Could be designed that way.
I do too, yeah.
Like, and it's.
I like the steel option too.
The cost is not the big, it's 50,000 if we're looking for a grant, like, that doesn't seem, I mean, I think that's a lot of
It's a
money.
lot of money.
But the grants were like, oh, 50,000, like, there seems to be less, it's more, I
See
like
how
the
long
look.
that feels.
No, I continue to think it's a lot of money, I think this is a lot of
I
money.
just mean, in the future, we'll see how long.
Wait, how much until the grant money runs out? I like the steel better, actually, I like the simpler look better, that's my preference. I would be for this if we can get grant money, I think when we go into budget, it's gonna be an ugly discussion. And I'm worried, the only thing is, this is locomotive 60 and car 70, do I have that right? Which are both,
Yes.
they are both native to this area, and I feel like it's really squeezing tight right now, but that from a revenue and a historic standpoint, that is something that can benefit the town moving forward. It just is really, it's a negative right now because it's a draw on money that we don't have.
But you guys all went on a field trip, but it sounds like Mike, he was at the library the other day and he was talking about, they don't really see them, they want to keep the trains there for at least one season. So that's next year at least before they even think about bringing them down here. So we do have some time to like figure out the money anyway.
They
a little
also,
bit.
they were very polite because it's not their car, but they were like, we've put all this effort into it. They're not willing to let it roll back this direction until we can cover it. Like they
Yeah, that was
have
pretty
very
clear.
strong feelings, even though they were very polite about it.
They put a lot of work into it. I think they want
It's-
to make sure it's protected.
You saw it, isn't it beautiful? I mean,
I
it's-
haven't seen it yet.
We wanna
I'm gonna go up and
protect the
see,
beauty
I'm gonna
of
go up and
that.
see it next
It
couple
is,
weeks.
you guys, it is, and I saw it when it was still, like, they had to start putting stuff back in, but the work that they had done was beautiful. Gene, you saw it too, it was gorgeous.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
Yeah, I
Tonight.
checked back in about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I probably have checked in, I would say at least 5 times. And the work has just been tremendous.
So I would not wanna put that out in the elements
No.
either, like, I totally get why they don't wanna let go of it until we have a safe home for it. I do, you just have to find funding for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brad, I was listening, so I'm up to
I
date on
I would
this
love
conversation.
to see we get the nicest piece of work we can get and go for grant money, because this is gonna be a real showpiece for Idaho Springs.
Yep.
Is what I feel.
And we're gonna come back to grant money subject, albeit not this particular one, more general, a little later.
Where's the parking that the administrative staff has now? Where is that being moved to on this side?
Over on this side, yeah.
Where at?
Yeah.
Does it show up on the site?
Yeah, if you look at the site plan.
It's next to the Harold Anderson Park,
Yeah, it's right over here.
In the parking lot, the corner of the parking lot.
Yeah, right
Opposite the
over
parking
here.
lot.
So that
Yeah.
would be just a dead
On
end
this side.
parking area right there.
All right, any questions for Chris or Tim while you're here?
One other thing I would note is Spectrum does great work, they're quality, but we should be getting free, this isn't a historic building
Yeah.
we're working on, so we'll go after competitive bid numbers.
Mhm,
Sure.
Right.
I think there'll be a lot of interest in. Contractors be interested in this project.
well, let's get to them.
Yes.
Well, I think it's put your name on that type of project, because it's gonna be seen by everybody.
High profile, yeah.
As you're going down Minor Street.
So I do have one thing, and I talked this about the guys at the train museum. One of the things that we talked about from, like a sustainability was, could this train actually run? Because we all know that people that love trains, particularly trains that have this history, they said it would be very easy to add rails moving down to the Argo. So I don't know if that's in like the plans. That's what I said, hey, how hard is that? And they're like, that's not even, I'm like, really? And they're like, oh no, this is not difficult, like we could run it down Riverside, like, so every couple of years, this thing could run, take people down to the Argo, and it could like help pay for itself, because this is going to continue to need maintenance, like that's one of my worries is, what is this gonna take for upkeep? I think we also have to look at, how do we plan to help it help itself? From a budget standpoint, I don't even know if that's possible, but when I asked them about that, they didn't think that I was off in la la.
Uh-huh.
They wanna put the car in service, so.
Yeah,
As long as nobody
we,
damages.
I'm sure we'll have a chance to ride that, before it comes back.
Yeah.
All right, anything further? Thank you so much. I appreciate the work up to this point, and, we're,
We have a question for you.
yes,
Where do we go from here?
well,
Do we proceed or?
and, I would just say, pending our success with grant money, and it may be grants, plural. We're actually gonna be talking about that a little later in our work session, getting help with grants and the right people for that. So,
Okay, so we will hold off for now until we.
yes, and I think that would be prudent, that hopefully it will not be, a lengthy time. We all would like to see this, and,
Right,
but I do know it's gonna be very grant dependent.
right, and when the time comes to, it'd be nice to know which option you prefer also.
Yeah, exactly. We ought to be able to get you that right now. I
Steel,
know you like the steel.
Is that, let me use the correct train shelter, the one over there, and is that steel? Does anyone know?
In Breckenridge?
Yeah,
I didn't know there was one there.
yeah, they have one over there, train, I think it's steel.
let's pull it up and see.
We've seen the one in Alamosa, it's all steel.
Oh, okay.
But I take that back, it does have, stucco
You're
columns.
steel, Jeremy?
Yeah, I think steel's a little more
Uh-huh.
appropriate for what we're trying to do, if it's historically accurate, then.
Yeah.
Again, it can be designed so you could add the brick if you wanted to at a later date.
Mhm.
Just put the foundation in below so it can support the brick.
And, Scott, what do you think?
I'm pretty indifferent at this time. and
Okay.
I like the-
All right, well, then, then
Then
I like the steel as well.
Okay.
So, we're definitely leaning that way.
Okay, yeah, I think it'll look nice, I don't like the structure, really showcase the train.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I am with, I like the idea that the brick matches, oh, so this, see, I like that.
I think the brick one is good, actually.
Yeah, but
Oh,
it's
is that
still,
what-
it's
Oh,
just,
maybe
it's a
that's
single
steel.
column versus a brick
It
column.
looks like it has like steel cupping at the bottom,
Yeah.
above the cement.
I think that one's probably
That
all
looks
the
like a timber house.
Yeah,
it's only
Away,
took
but, you know,
30 years to get
The
all the
brackets
trailers there, so.
Even, and how
Yeah,
much
corner-
work did they have
corner
to do on
brackets
their
are-
train?
Those are wood, so it's
If
probably.
we're gonna run the train car on the loop, why are we completely freaking out about being undercover? Am I wrong in that statement?
But I don't know how
It's
long,
gonna go
it sounds
down
like
the
it's
rail.
gonna be on the
It's
loop
gonna
for,
sit outside.
It's gonna be on, they would like it on, my understanding was they would like to have one season with it, like next season.
and then it's
Which I'm
done.
saying,
And then it
so if
comes
they have
to
a
us.
season, it's gonna be outside. So it kind of.
I think they would fear that it would never happen.
Yeah, well, I think they do,
Oh, if it comes down here, it's definitely not going back up there.
but I also think
That
if
might
they,
be their fear if they move it
That's
down
exactly
there
what Mike
and
said to
then-
me.
and then,
It would
oh,
never
you're
happen.
not gonna do it this year, but we'll do it next year, but then it
It's
never
all,
happens.
all of their high-end cars outside.
but they also work on, they also, like, so I figure if they are using it, they will help upkeep it while it's with them.
I'm not opposed to using it, I'm just saying that I don't think this is a crisis of right now, it's more of a, let's figure out the grants and figure out how we fund it, and we've got a little bit of time, that's kind of my point.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It could
I
be like a
agree with
year
that.
if they
I
went
think their
through-
fear is that it would be put off.
That's absolutely their fear, if they give it back to us and we never put it back under anything.
I mean, councils change here.
Totally agree, they've got a presidential car that's outside.
Yeah.
So I don't think being outside is a real detriment to these historic cars unless they're maintained on a consistent basis.
But see, there's the
There's the other
piece, as long as
We
it's
didn't make it.
maintained.
That's kind of where I'm going with that.
That's why I'm like, can we run it and pay for maintenance?
All right, well, that will be another discussion, but thank you very much. I appreciate the work on this.
All
Yeah,
right,
thank you.
oh,
You're
you're
Our
welcome.
council is kind of like.
All right, next up, we have
Sideways.
Business and Community Promotion Board Ordinance and Rules of Procedure. Sadie, welcome. And thank you for the work on this, and I'm happy to talk about this again. And Andy, did you have anything on this in particular?
No, we just wanted to make sure that council had an idea of what the board's operating procedures might look like. The actual creation of the board by ordinance, when with legal review was pared down a bit from what was proposed. We wanted to make sure that there was a lot of good information in there about the purpose of the board and certain aspects of what the board would be dealing with, but to get it actually into ordinance, it's pared down. You'll see it in the packet. The ordinance is much leaner, and so one thing that Carmen suggested is that we think about rules of procedure for the board that would cover some of the things that she didn't think should be in the ordinance, but certainly should be considered by the new board. So that's what Sadie drafted here as a rules of procedure, because it was a part of the original discussion. But now you'll have the ordinance for consideration that will create the board, and then some of the detail will be covered in the rules of procedure. So again, this will be finalized by the board, but we thought it was important for council to see the draft, and if you had any any questions or comments at this point, Sadie's here to address those.
Yeah, I thought it looked pretty good. And I think we probably discussed this last time. We don't know if Sadie would be with us next year, but she has, no matter what, agreed to stay with us through the end of this year and help with a new person should they come on in 2025. So I'm glad to have that continuity. And but I thought it was good work. I'd like to go around and Jeremy, anything you'd like to change in this?
Not really, this is the terms that if they end February 15th of each year, except for initial appointment, and 3 of the members have terms ending in 2025, wouldn't that be February 15th of 2025? Shouldn't that be 2026 and 2027?
You are correct. Thank you for catching that.
All right, very good. Lisa, any thoughts?
Yes, my concern is when you look at the regular meetings, it's the 3rd Monday of each month, and my concern is for over the summer, like I just wonder if it needs to be every other week.
I think adding additional meetings was kind of our goal in the periods where we're going to be entering into peak period as well as like coming out of peak period. So entering into peak period, it will probably be every other week, and then coming out of peak period and for preparation for the October 1st revenue as well as budget review, those 2 times. But I think honestly, like in January, February, March, 1 time a month is really more than enough. And we found that with the Vitality Task Force with the ERTF.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Is that we tend to start increasing. What I've noticed when I look back at historical meeting data, we were doing bi-weekly in really the end of April, like April, May, June, July. And then kind of August is kind of like a holder month where we're not really. And then really we went back to bi-weekly again. Previously, it was in like October and November in preparation for like the holiday season, but I think this would be like starting
does this need to be, and I don't know this from a statute standpoint, does this need to be in there that we can have extra meetings as needed?
I don't think so, because, for instance, our council meetings are the second and fourth Mondays at 7, but we can, council can always schedule, or can always call
Okay,
for
that's
a
just-
for a special meeting.
I was just looking at, I know how things have changed, like how
Sure.
things change and, things have to be addressed. I would hate for them to be limited by only once a month.
Yeah.
When something needs to be addressed.
Yeah,
more
and
timely.
I will say that, so we have done more frequent as needed, and they've been very well attended.
Okay.
I don't feel that anyone is suffering from, burnout or
Okay.
meetingitis. I mean, I would think the way it's going right now is pretty darn good.
And I think that if we're working on something where the board members and the business licensees are seeing like momentum, they'll actually prompt for like, hey, can we actually,
Mhm.
we've had them be
Yeah,
like,
we have.
hey, can we have a meeting sooner than a month?
Yep.
Like, we don't want this to wait. I mean, that's
Okay.
been something they've been all very vocal about within themselves. So I would anticipate that the board members would continue that energy and being like, hey, we've got a lot on the table that's like left not dealt with. Let's add another meeting in.
Okay, I would like that to be there because
Yeah, I
feel
like that.
once a month, as we prep for the summer and then in the summer, I don't know that that's always enough.
So maybe just adding in the terminology of like, if additional meetings are necessary, the board can decide to
I
add.
would love, that would
Okay.
make me feel, that would ease my heart.
Absolutely.
I mean,
love that.
and like Andy said, we do that with council.
Yeah, we do that. I just didn't know if that was like, if that meant they were limited from a statute standpoint or.
Yeah, I don't see it limiting, I think it more sets a expectation as a minimum.
Okay,
And in the
Okay.
ordinance, Lisa, it does say if additional meetings are necessary in the ordinance aspect, I believe it says that more.
And even if a meeting's not necessary, you could even agree not to have a meeting.
Exactly.
Say,
Mhm.
okay,
And Kate, anything further?
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Scott?
The membership is how many members?
It's a total of 7?
Okay, because it said 6, but then on the voting, it says something about 4.
Yeah, that's our form.
So 7 with one of those positions held by a city.
Yeah.
Either assistant city administrator
Could
and
be a council.
could be a council person if necessary. But so 6 business license appointees
Mhm.
And 4 of the 7 would be,
would constitute a quorum.
okay.
Mhm.
You mean?
Yeah, just so it's more logistical, when should we think this will be officially created after the ordinance today?
We have first reading
Okay, so,
scheduled for the regular meeting. And then in the first meeting in October with the consideration of adoption.
okay, so by, I think just being realistic that we might not have an assistant city administrator by the start of it, if there's some, like, what that looks like in terms of city representation in the interim, might be something to start thinking about.
And Andy and I and the mayor had also discussed that this might be a point where I think I had written in here, and it's also, if we've written in the ordinance, that if the assistant city administrator position is vacant, that position on this board would be filled by a council member
That is in there.
Or even other staff member.
or another staff member.
So that option is given in the ordinance, proposed ordinance.
Yeah, and I think that's really, an invitation for you guys to make sure that you feel like you guys are a part of however this works as we're in this transitionary period. And like the mayor said, I'm committed to staying on as the contractor as long as we need me to stay here. And we'll just keep, I think my contract has an option to renew. So we'll just keep that. I think the first priority is to get the board stabilized, and then second priority, get the new assistant city administrator integrated and stabilized, and then start looking for the person that would take over like my role eventually, would be kind of like the order of operations. I think it would be too much to try to do it all at once. Plus trying to make sure Andy and I are starting to work together on a budgetary review to present for this board. And since it's not really gonna be finalized before then, we're kind of doing off the record working behind the scenes for that. So we wanna make sure that they're like focusing on that as the first thing that they're gonna be able to.
fatality task force is meeting right now though.
Yes, we are continuing to meet. We'll actually be meeting next Monday. the letter went out, been very well received. Lots of people engaged that have not been engaged in a really long time.
Yeah, there must have been 18, 20 people at the last meeting. I mean, it was a lot.
It's really invigorating. I'm getting lots of people asking me really good questions, how to get involved. People are gonna be starting to submit their letters of interest within this week, so for your guys' consideration. So that'll be the next thing you guys will start doing, is considering who you want to appoint to this. I've got people very interested from the East End. I've got people that are
That's
not.
exciting.
Yeah, I've got multiple people that have committed to submit letters of interest from the East End. We're trying to get some good representation from each level of service, having lodging, having recreation, having retail, having service, having a good selection. And again, as Mary said, the more that this has been building, we've been getting very well attended meetings. I imagine this next Monday meeting will be very robustly attended because of the letter that went out in the mail and because it's now a public situation. I've got lots of people very interested in attending and understanding what we're doing, so it's very exciting.
The meetings can also be attended by other than members.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, they're open to the public as all.
Is there any set requirements for these possible members on does it have to be an Idaho Springs business person? Does it have to be a resident? What's our requirements?
In the ordinance, it is listed as either a representative of an Idaho Springs business license, so the owner of the Idaho Springs business license, or a representative of an Idaho Springs business license, and or a nonprofit that is operating within Idaho Springs. And if there's a vacancy on the board and those criteria cannot be met, what is in the ordinance is up to city council's discretion whether or not that person fits the requirements of the board. But the priority would obviously be a representative of the license holders of Idaho Springs. And those were all who was notified by the letter. A letter went to every licensed business within Idaho Springs.
How many business licenses? Approximately.
How many, how many letters did we
I
send?
think just over 200.
Just over 200, I believe, yeah.
207
Oh, wow,
maybe.
that's more than I thought.
Yeah, and
And
some
some
of-
are like home businesses and things like that.
yeah, and some were duplicates. Obviously, some licensees are, hold multiple licenses as the same person. But I think filtering all of that down, when I've been doing my contact sheet spreadsheet, we have approximately, from my understanding, 195 business owners or licenses that might own more than one business, but 195 within the city.
All right, any further questions for Sadie?
I do have one.
Oh, sure,
I
of
do
course.
have one thing, as my commitment to the board, the businesses, as we're in this process, they've been asking me to just bring things up for guidance. You guys had given me the guidance that if we could get an all or nothing in for Minor Street staying open, I wanted to let you know that it is looking like it's leaning towards wanting to keep that open.
Oh.
We will be making that kind of final decision at the Vitality Task Force. Everybody's gonna kind of be yes or no, but I put hands in almost every single Minor Street business to ask, especially those with activation, to ask if they'd be willing to leave it out till the Saturday after Thanksgiving. And I've gotten pretty much almost everybody that says that if it's an all or nothing, they would rather be all than be the one that says no. So it was kind of a peer pressure thing, but, and they all are totally aware about that they're responsible for the snow removal, that if there's snow, that they're responsible for moving their snow out of their encroachment agreements into the center of the street, and they're comfortable with that. Also bringing to city council any things that the businesses have brought to my attention as events that needed the city's eyes on it. For those of you that may not be aware, we have Olympic gold medal winner who is a native of Idaho Springs, Haley Washington. She won gold a couple of years back in volleyball. This last Olympics, their Team USA won silver. She will be in Idaho Springs on September 20th. And there had been some people that were trying to plan a welcome home event thing, and it got to me very last minute, or just recently. So, they're wanting to do an open house meet and greet where the community could come and meet her, take pictures, get autographs. Last time we did this event, it was very successful. We did it on Minor last year. I had more time than I have. They want September 20th, and that's next week. My suggestion was to bring the event inside of a business so that it would be a little bit easier to control the energy and the atmosphere of it. Last year, or the last time we did this, the line for her to sign autographs got like crazy out of hand. So inside a business, I felt might be better to control that. Tommyknockers is willing to host it in their back room. They, event organizers and such are asking if city council would be interested in providing any kind of city sponsorship dollars towards this event for food. The alcohol would be cash bar at Tommyknockers as the support for them hosting this event at no cost to us. But to be able to offer some free food and appetizers as people want to come and grab a bite and take a meet and greet with her. They also asked the mayor's willingness to come and say hello and thank her and some kind of thing. The event is from 4 to 7, September 20th, at Tommyknockers. And again, they're just kind of wondering about city council's willingness to take a little bit of money out of what's left over in the community promotions budget towards this, even though it's a last minute thing.
September 20th, that's a Friday.
It is.
All right, so quickly, let me go around the room and see how people feel about utilizing some of the community promotion money. There's not a whole lot left.
We don't need a whole lot.
But that's what I was thinking.
I'd say like $500 would probably be more than enough, if not excessive.
Scott, your thoughts?
Yeah, 500 is more than willing.
Okay, Kate?
Yeah, same.
Is there more than 500 left in, or at least 500 left?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Jeremy? Okay, and Lisa?
Yes.
All right, looks like folks here on council are in favor of that. And we did set aside that money for community promotions. Unfortunately, there happens to be a little bit left, so, and it's not particularly expensive, so that's very good. Any other items per se? Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
All right, next up has been an item that's been very near and dear to our hearts. Lorraine gave us what I thought was just an excellent overview of our administration situation. And I think, you know, she made some really good, she gave us some good advice. However, I really would encourage council to go the extra mile and hire an assistant city administrator along with Lorraine's suggestions. And I want to make that clear. It's not substituting Lorraine's suggestions, because she absolutely made some really important items come to light, you know, like an actual, what is an antiquated term, but we used to call it office manager many years ago, but so that they have an immediate supervisor they can go to. I think it gives us a lot more bandwidth. But a Jonathan Kane type, and this is why I said I thought we'd be coming back to grants. Grants, there are just millions and millions of dollars at stake that this city, I have felt we have knocked it out of the park with grant writing. You know, for our size, we tend to get several $1 million every year, and we have some big ones to manage, not the least of which would be a $25 million raise grant. But we had a breakdown of the job description that was included in the packet, and I want to go around the room and see what people think about accepting Lorraine's suggestions, hiring the staff, and including in this another assistant city administrator. And no pressure, but Lisa, we'll start with you.
I just had to be that right line of vision. So I actually feel like this job, I agree that I think we need an assistant city manager. I do, an city administrator. I don't necessarily agree with the way that Lorraine broke down Jonathan's job.
Oh, Lorraine didn't, and I just want to make that clear, that, Andy, that was your work with the job
Yes,
description, right?
yes, this is,
Yeah.
what's in the packet is the assistant city administrator job description. But it's modified somewhat based upon the report we got from Lorraine, internal discussions about needs, and so that's what that, and of course, now we have this position of director of business promotion and vitality. So we have that position that can handle some of the community promotion aspects of the assistant city administrator position, the business promotion aspect. And then we also have what Lorraine recommended is that office manager, administrative supervisor position of the administrative staff, that position as well. So there would be those, so we continue with the assistant city administrator with some things paired off of that position to make it a little more
Including
manageable.
office management, because
Yeah.
this is a huge, like, when I look at this and we have talked about, oh, Jonathan took on too much,
Right.
and my point was, I think we let Jonathan take too much.
Right.
This doesn't look like it's cutting down some of the stuff that Jonathan did.
It does
That's
not.
overwhelming. When you
Yeah,
read
it
all
is
of it.
like,
Who's gonna want this job?
I thought the same thing, I was like.
Like, this is-
like.
So I feel like we have to be very clear, like, I think Lorraine did a great job, but I don't necessarily agree with some of how she broke it down. If we're gonna do office and administration, I think that's actually better, and then business promotion, so I don't know that I think this person should, like, I think you are the head of the office, and then if you have an office administrator, they report to you and they deal with department heads, and, you know, that's my thought process in this. This doesn't look like it's taking away any of the things that, you know, we talked about were overwhelming for Jonathan. But I do agree that I think we need an assistant city administrator, particularly if we're not gonna do a grant writer. I think it's gonna be really difficult because a lot of people are looking for grant writers. If this is a person that does grant writing along with everything else, you know, that can be one of their big responsibilities, because that's a huge thing that we need. But then I think office administration and, like, you know, the business collaboration, I think if we paired those off, that would be better. But this to me looks, I read that and I was like, oh my God, it made me sit back because I was like,
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I think it would be clear if it was just like, because I don't actually think this person does all these things. I think they support and oversee, because some of this
Yeah.
appears to be Dylan's job and other people's
Right,
jobs.
exactly. Supervising the city planner is one of
Right.
the aspects of this job. Community development, economic development was added, a little bit of more economic development focus because we haven't had that before. But working with the director of business promotion and vitality. So now what we have is two additional, out of the report that Lorraine provided, an internal discussion, what we have is two additional positions that can work with the assistant city administrator. We have the director of business promotion and vitality and the administrative support supervisor. So the two additional positions
Who are supporting, I think it's just
that
like
would be under the
needs to be
assistant city administrator.
clear that they're like overseeing and supporting and not doing all of this. I don't know, at least to me,
Well,
that's
It
how
says
it.
here that his position provides staff support to various boards. How he provides staff and support doesn't mean he has to be there
Correct.
at
But
all
it-
those things. He can delegate
And
that.
I
He
think
provides that by delegating.
the other, yes, I agree with you. And the other important point here is that we felt very strongly, and I think there's consensus on the board here from what I've picked up on, I certainly agree with it, is that we need, for grants, we need a strategic focus on grants. I think that's one reason we've been successful. So that's why I don't think it makes sense, and I think this is one thing where we may have diverged from Lorraine, is that, you know, grants be under the administrative support supervisor, okay? That position, that supervisor may help with the administration of those grants, like filing reimbursements and reports, quarterly reports, things like that, but not handling, you know, the strategy for how we're gonna, you know, how do these fit in with our projects and our goals as a city? So that's why it's very much still a high level effort is the grants, but also you're gonna have more support to carry that out. And I can tell you, all of the grants we've done have all been a team working on those grants. You know, we have really everybody contributes. We have our city engineer, we have various staff members.
You
You
have,
know, well, right, we just have all of our, so it's really, and there are various drafts that happen. So we really need, we need someone at a higher level to be overseeing grants, is what I'm saying.
So you would have the office administrative support person be the one that is writing primarily, doing the grant writing, and this job would be more overseeing strategy and supporting that grant writing?
Yes, strategy, but I don't see necessarily doing all, because we all contribute with the writing of it. You know, we typically, what we do is we have a team meeting and we divvy up the various aspects of a grant and say, hey, Paul, we need you to tell us everything you know about why we need this line replaced. And you know the technical, the verbiage. We need our engineer to do some of the engineering aspects of it. So, and some of it's boilerplate, we can carry off over from other grants as well. So it's really that the assistant city administrator would really do what John was doing, continue to coordinate that and say, okay, now we need final review. Okay, we need, we need the final review. So
to me, this looks like a much larger conversation than just 15 minutes at a work session. And to me, this looks like, I need to see the hierarchy of how everything's coming down, and I'd like to see it on a whiteboard. And I'd like to know what everybody is going to do on all the moving pieces, because honestly, I'm not really seeing that a 3-person admin staff needs an overseer specifically to that department. And I do think that the absolute most important 3 things in John's job that need to get recognized are the grants, the connection with the city, and then the overseeing of all the various things that go on within the city, and then overseeing our new position here. I don't think we can come to this conclusion tonight that this is what I'm gonna send out there for a job for somebody to apply for, because I read it and I was like, this is such wishful thinking, and we're still not filling all the other holes that are in the ground. So that's my sense.
all right, well, we can certainly talk about it more at a future work session.
Yeah,
Could we do a work session?
I think we're
next
dealing
week?
with, like needing to see it, and also the urgency of wanting to.
Right,
Because I
that's
don't
two
wanna
things.
undercut
No,
the
I follow you.
urgency, but I kind of agree where it's like, I wanna see all 3 of those job positions and be like, okay, this is how it goes or something, like, I don't know, I just feel like that is needed, but there is an urgency.
Where are
Absolutely.
we at on the hiring process?
well, it
we
hasn't
can't do
been posted
anything
yet,
until
so I'm
the
waiting
end
for
of
direction from council. We wanted Lorraine to weigh in, because one of the things with John's position, the assistant city administrator position, was very clear was the time that had to be spent on overseeing administrative staff and support and making sure they are properly supported. So in her recommendation, that position was identified, but we also feel that we can't continue without that assistant city administrator position.
And Andy, I think your requirements for the ideal person are, no matter what, I think those are very ironclad. I mean, we need somebody with the strong computer skills that you've outlined, great management experience, as well as very strong grant writing abilities. I mean, I think that's gonna be the ideal person.
But are we gonna be able to get the ideal person? I mean, I think we all talked about this. Didn't we all decide that this is a 3-person job? I mean, was I the only one on that island? Because I
No,
thought,
I agree with you.
I thought we had more people than not, were like,
Still adding to it.
Yeah, we are.
but we're not,
Back
but
up
Jeremy,
the
their job
trade.
descriptions are this big.
I know, but they don't need to be this, we don't need a job description for who manages the staff in the office.
Why do we need a person to manage the staff
Well,
in the
we
office?
probably need somebody, I think.
No,
that
I
makes
think we
sense, but-
absolutely need
Yeah, I
somebody.
think
Yeah,
recommend
and
correct.
well, we have heard that.
But, and we need somebody that manages, vitality tasks, how we do our business interactions. But from my perspective, reading this job description, I have no issue with it. But I've had job descriptions look just like this through most of my professional career. This is a pretty straightforward, but this to me makes sense of what my job duties would be if I were to apply for the job.
What would
And a
you
lot of
expect
it
for
goes
this
back-
job?
How much would you get for that? And would you bet a $25 million grant budget on that job?
Yeah,
description?
all day long.
I would not.
And I would just add,
Wholeheartedly.
council was agreeable to a pretty high salary level here.
Yeah.
I think we ought to be able to get a very well qualified person.
Well, the county just lost their grant writer to another municipality, because there's more money. So I'm gonna tell you, I don't think we have enough money.
Well,
To get
she
that
was
done.
making about half.
Well, I think that whoever I talked to the other day is probably kicking himself in the butt, but she wasn't making that much less. He told me what she was making. So I don't,
100.
I think she was making around 100,
We're at 134, I think we.
40, something like that.
At least from my perspective, looking at this and requiring the education and background that goes with it, I think we can get somebody that can do the job that we're looking for. And support them in a partially in an effective way by hiring them position below that. So that we're taking some load off of what Jonathan did in the office and with the business owners, they have more time to focus on. I don't think grants are 100% focused thing, you really don't.
I do.
They're a huge portion, they're really small, really big deal for us. But I don't think it's 100% of that position.
I would agree. Andy, if you had to wing it, is that like 25% of the time?
Well, I don't think we're gonna get another Jonathan Kane, he's very talented, but we can find a talented person that maybe has strength in different areas.
I've got a couple names right now.
So we've already had some inquiries on it. I think it'll generate a lot of interest.
I still don't think that we
Please,
fleshed out the
yes.
other jobs though, guys. I mean, so you guys are agreeing to this job and there's no fleshing out of these other two
Well, I
positions.
think if we wait to flush it, I'll be honest at this stage. We can park in the parking lot, argue and have a fist fight over this, or we can start hiring positions that we need to hire. And then work through the job description for the other two positions, and so we're comfortable get those hired, but at some point, we have to get off the blocks on this.
We just got the job description, Jeremy,
I know,
like today.
we've been playing that Jonathan's gone, what are we gonna do, what are we gonna do game for months now.
He's not been
So-
gone for months.
I think we're in a position, we have a job description that makes sense. Which allows Andy to post it and start seeing what kind of candidates we get, and if they're terrible, they're terrible. But we're in a unique market stage right now too, for those that don't know, at this time of year. And Andy's a retired fire chief, but he understands the word. You know, retired fire chiefs are right now in the state of Colorado looking for jobs like this, that have the education, that want to come in and do stuff like this. So we're also gonna miss an opportunity. It's a unique time of the year, it happens every year after July, it's a weird deal. But I think getting this posted makes sense. And then we work through the other positions that Lorraine asked us to add.
I don't see how that would hurt. If we posted
That's
it,
just my opinion.
we got some qualified people, we still have more than enough time to discuss.
I think you
The
learn a
breakdown.
lot in the interviewing process and what that person can do.
Yeah.
And if they're capable of handling a load like Jonathan can handle.
But I don't want us to have somebody have.
Yeah, you're missing the point, yeah.
We're not asking him.
I think the intent is to not go back. to
I don't
that
think-
level.
Sounds like that's
Having
exactly what
this job description shouldn't overwhelm them, because when I see a job description, I know his skills aren't gonna be in every single one of these. So he's gonna have to administrate and delegate some of these responsibilities
To who?
that aren't his
To
strengths.
Who
Well,
are we
that's what-
delegating to?
Well, I thought we were talking about an office staff person, right?
The supervisor.
Supervisor.
I mean, at least 4 or 5 of these are on my,
That's where he
like
can
what
maybe
I
draw
do.
from.
Yeah.
And it's not clear that it says like this, these are things that you're just supervising the community development planner on. Similarly, I would guess some of these are business promotions person, but it's not clear.
Exactly.
So it's not clear. But, you know, once you're in the job, you're not actually, a lot of these probably don't take up a lot of time.
They'll feel what they can spend their time on, what they can delegate and not have as much time. That's part of navigating that job, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so much time in a day. You can't first off, they can't overwhelm themselves. We don't want to overwhelm them, but these are all specific job duties. They have to have some type of involvement. Whether or not they elect, like Jonathan elected to go the extra mile a lot of times.
I don't want that to be something that a new administrator has to take on, though, and I want us to be
Well, I
very
don't think
clear.
Jonathan was required to do that. I think he did that a lot of his own choice because he was such a very outgoing, very good employee, but I don't know that we're asking them to do that.
But if it's in the
to
job
that
description,
degree.
you are. I mean, that's the way a job description works. This is what you're saying, they are
That he
responsible.
oversees them to some degree, not, I mean, I think then that's discussed with,
This is like Andy's job.
Yeah.
description, Really.
I mean, I think it's hard, it's like, well, are we defining what the priority for
them.
this job is, or do they get in there and define what
Yeah,
their
it gets-
priority is? I think
Exactly, very
that's
good
the-
point.
So I don't have a problem with this job description, I just, I don't want it to be chaotic, and this person doesn't know where they should be putting their attention,
At the end of
it's
the day,
split 100 ways.
Andy sets priority for this position. Like, we don't manage staff day-to-day activities, Andy does. Andy works for the council and the mayor, everybody else works for Andy. So it's Andy's discretion what the priorities for the positions are that he, what he hires. And I think we kind of cross that a little bit with the board if we start dictating a little more than we are right now. as
and
far
I
as-
think Andy will evaluate their performance.
Right, and that's.
So
that's
then
why we
Andy, if
have
Andy's in charge of all the employees, then why do we need an office manager? If that is what you're saying to me.
Because it'd probably help Andy manage the office, right? That's the.
There are 3
goal.
people in the office.
You know what, so to me, that's a separate discussion that we'll
Well,
talk
we
about.
did have the independent study from Lorraine's call for that additional
So we
position.
should have that.
Sure, and I'm just giving my opinion, which is what I think I'm appointed to council to do, so I want to be very clear about that.
All right, it
I mean,
is,
no doubt, this is a very large job duty list, but I think once they take that on, they learn to navigate it. This person might not do everything John, it might be in his description, but not go to the lengths that John Kane used to go to. It's gonna be handled differently. Each person will navigate that on their own, and Andy will help them manage that.
I'm okay, but I would like to see how we're gonna break all this down, like an organizational structure chart, because I think that's part of what brought us to having to do an employment study with Lorraine. Like, I don't think that was clear. I think there were a lot of challenges. That's just what I heard. And so from people working within the city, that they had challenges with the organizational structure. And I don't want us to get to that same position again next year, where we don't feel like things are being handled when we've got so much going on.
Can that be a work in progress if we can go on the hiring process of this person? I mean,
I would
Is
vote
that
to
something
say,
that-
we could go on the hiring process, but I wanna see I need to see a work session where we talk about this. I don't want this to get
That's
pushed
fine.
off.
So it was the plan to come back to council with an idea of what this new position that Lorraine was proposing would look like, this additional position.
When would that be?
Probably the first meeting in October.
I would be okay with that. I don't want this to get pushed off. I
Sure.
don't want us to be in this position again.
And what some of the realigned duties might look like that she mentioned with our existing positions. So that was still the plan, but the idea was to try to stick with the assistant city administrator position with some modifications that we've discussed. So that was the thought. We go ahead and get this advertised, get it posted, as we've had it before, with some changes, and then come back on the rest of the reorganization.
would everybody be all right with that?
I'm not, but you guys are gonna outvote me anyway. I think that there's no point in going forward if everything's not set in stone the way we want it to go down, but
well, if we did that, I mean, there's a chance that some of the talent level out there could,
Also, our hiring process is not like just municipality hiring process takes a
It
while.
does take some.
So if we have this meeting on the books, and I really do not want to see it get pushed back. I am okay voting yes for this because I don't want, like I said, I'm gonna keep saying it. I don't want to be in this position again. But have people leaving and people are not happy and things are not clear.
I think we all agree with it. All right, I've got about 30 minutes, and my suggestion is that we go ahead and do the boards and commission interviews since everybody's here. And we'll go back to regional housing And Kramer lease, I think it's only gonna take a minute anyways. Regional housing might take a little bit. That's what I'm worried about, going over when we
Sure,
talk
can I
about.
make a suggestion, Mayor? We are proposing that the intergovernmental agreement that's on the agenda, that be postponed to the meeting on the 23rd, because there have been some additional changes
Yes,
that just happened with some of the other jurisdictions and with the county.
right.
So I think we could certainly plan to have the update for council at our next work session to talk about, to highlight those changes. Council's already seen it before, but here are the remaining changes. We want to make sure you're aware of them and then have that for consideration. and
Right.
approval.
Right,
So-
well, it sounds good. All right, next up, we will talk about boards and commission interviews. My apologies to everybody that was here the first time. What are the odds? I don't even know how long it's been since we have not had a quorum. We
Sorry,
had,
guys.
we had
Sorry, my
three,
bad.
we literally had 3 council members and everybody had showed up for the interviews. The
Oh,
commitment of
sorry.
coming in for a second time for the interview is very dedicated, and I want to say a big thank you. So another tip I would give council, there are 7 letters of interest. One for Katie Maxwell, who already is on our board as a planning commission alternate, and she would like to be permanent. So she's not here tonight, and we have 6 that are interested in our historic sites and facilities. So we'll go for about 3 to 5 minutes each. And then I've got some scrap paper, and I'm only pointing out that we have these 7 letters of interest, because what we're gonna be asked of is to write down 5 of the 6 for who you would like to see on the historic sites and facilities. And then if you agree with Katie as a full-time planning member, you'll have the opportunity to put her down as well.
Since Katie's not here, may I ask, she has been the alternate since like January of this year. I think she's been pretty much all year already alternate on planning.
Yeah, that's right.
And don't we have 2 alternates on planning, but she's the only one that has submitted a,
That's my understanding.
okay.
All right. We'll start off with the interviews. Reba, welcome. Please come on up. Hey, thank you so much.
Sure.
I'm just gonna kick it off where we have your letter of interest, and we really appreciate you giving up your time. And I just want to ask you, what do you find interesting about historic sites and facilities? What sparks your interest there?
Well, as a resident of Central City and seeing the historic sites, because they're not just buildings, here be maintained, having been a part of the city for a while, I know that it changes with city staff. City staff comes and goes, and the idea of the commission, I think, is to maintain some stability and some regardless of what changes, and even though the commission will change, the purpose and the mission kind of shouldn't change.
Very good. Okay.
Reba, why? Why do you want
I
to
got
do this?
nothing better to do.
Haven't you exhausted all the excuses that you could?
How many years were you on sites and facilities before when it was not a city commission?
So many.
So my understanding is that, and I'm gonna ask everybody the same thing, so. My understanding is that it didn't meet for 4 years. Why didn't you guys meet for 4 years?
I think there was an appointment. I think we weren't appointed. I think there was some that kind of just didn't happen.
But my understanding is that the commission wasn't appointed by the city, wasn't appointed by Historical Society. It sat there in the
It's
middle.
never been historical society.
I'm just going off the agreements that I have seen. It didn't meet for 4 years, which meant all of that maintenance fell onto the city. So,
That didn't have to happen. Put it that way.
okay.
Scott? Any question?
No, I don't have any questions right now.
Okay.
I know Ray group quite well.
Jeremy, any questions?
No, I'm just excited you're willing to still do
Yeah.
this.
All right, Janine?
Yeah, no questions.
All right, Reba, just before you go, you have a great deal of city experience, as well, including right here in Idaho Springs.
You want a job?
Want to do a point, I just,
I don't want that.
I just wanted to point that out, because it's not in your letter of interest, but I know that, just in case folks didn't know,
Oh,
if you might just quickly mention.
oh, yes, I was city clerk here for 4 years.
She got me involved in this.
And
Yes.
currently over in Central City.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for a while now.
Still twisting arms over there.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Sure.
Margaret, you just happen to be the next page up. Please come on up. And thank you very much for your interest.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Um,
I haven't had an interview in a number of years.
Well, I found your letter is very interesting. I never knew that you had a historic home down in Pueblo,
Oh, yeah.
but
Oh, yes.
but a lot of valuable experience, and I will ask you the same question. What gets you interested in being on joining this group?
Well, as I try to succinctly put it, like, I've grown up around all that kind of historical places and buildings, and have always had an avid interest in it, from personal experience. Say nothing to the fact that, we've dabbled in the antique business for a number of years. And so it's a good fit. I love it. I see the importance, I guess that's the biggest thing, the importance of preserving our short history of things. We're very short history compared to Europe.
1600.
So, yes, but I mean, as a country, what we look at is old. We say, okay, it's 100 years or whatever, these buildings are 140 years old compared to when you go to Europe and things like that. I mean, they really, really, really appreciate it. So anyhow, that's it. I can bring also some of my technical, I think a lot of my technical background into, hopefully to I don't want to say facilitate, but to help this along. Not knowing exactly what's going to be involved, but I feel I can make a contribution that would be good.
Thank you. Kate.
Good answer. I don't think I need much more.
Okay, Janine?
Were you on the past iteration of this, or like, was it a committee
No,
before?
no.
Oh,
No, never heard of it before.
Okay, Jeremy?
No questions, appreciate you.
Scott?
She answered some of my questions and, speaking there.
All right, Lisa?
How was your, you said in here that you renovated, I didn't know that you had actually done the renovation on the beach knees, but that makes sense. How was your experience as you did the renovation on that?
Down here?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there were some trials and tribulations, but mainly in compliance with, wasn't the historical side of it. It was the building changes in building codes and compliance with that, the challenges there. But I don't believe there was anything I had to present for the renovation to the historical for approval.
The HPRC, yeah, because it was mostly inside.
It was, yes,
Yeah,
it was all
okay.
inside. And previously, like we've had to do, like when we put up the canopy, we had to do that. But other than that, we didn't have anything else that would involve that. But I'm quite, like I said, very by the rules and like to make sure we're in compliance with, whether it's inside building code or exterior, the historical importance of things.
Because this sites and facilities, the way that we have it structured, it will be like for any of the city sites and facilities, generally they will present the request for a certificate of appropriateness to HPRC, so you have to, I just wondered if you had any challenges with HPRC, that was all.
That's all.
That's really.
Well, like I said, I had to get approval for the canopy. We've been there now for 9 years.
Oh, wow.
Can't believe it. But everything has been into most of it, so I can't recall anything else.
Thank you.
All right,
Anything else?
anything further? All right, thank you very much. Lou, please come on up. For those of you who do not know, Lou Howard's been on for a very long time, and she's really taken the cemetery under her wing. And you may have heard me talk about her frugality in a very complimentary way, because she gets a lot done with very little money. And I don't know how she does it, but thank you very, very much. I won't even ask you the same question, because I know very much what interests you, and we're very lucky to have somebody take over the cemetery in such a thoughtful way. And I know it's impressed a lot of families. Lisa, you have any questions?
I do, actually. So you were on the previous board.
Yes.
But you have kept up with I know the cemetery is your passion project, and as somebody that has bought a plot in the cemetery, I appreciate it, because that's quite an ordeal. And I think it would be more so an ordeal if you had not done the research and the work that you've done. How were you able to continue working on your project when the previous commission was not meeting?
The previous what?
The previous commission was not meeting regularly.
Well, I was independent for 15 years, so I worked with the Historical Society in the city.
She came to a lot of our meetings and presented regularly on everything she was doing.
Yeah, we've seen some of the requests for.
Isn't that your artwork? Isn't that part of?
Oh, that's not mine. Not mine, no.
That was it, thank you.
Thanks, so I know your work, and I think you did it good too.
All right. Any questions, Scott?
Yeah. Just to hear it from you, why do you do what you do and get involved in these things? What's your,
Likes graveyards.
what's your reasons?
Actually, I love history. I'm doing personal stories on each of the people that are buried up there, which is gonna take me a long time, because it's almost 3,000. But I've lived here for 60 years. This is my home. And our history is very rich. And I want people to know about.
Lou, are you doing oral histories?
No, I'm doing, because these are people that are buried in the cemetery, so.
No, I mean, are you giving the oral history? Because there's a Smithsonian site that you can go to, and you can actually go on and talk about the Idaho Springs Cemetery and be people specific. Now, usually it's the person speaking, but since you're speaking for the people, yeah, I'd just be interested.
Actually, I'm in the process, it's a big project, but I research them, and then every once in a while, one just grabs me and I just write the story. So I'm just writing the story.
That's awesome. I call it going down a rabbit hole.
Did I also hear that you're working on adding the graves to Find a Grave?
Oh, I've been working on Find a Grave for a long time.
There's several.
So
There's
I've got,
several. Yep, on there.
I kind of monitor it all the time and update it. And there are a lot of people who have submitted photos, and sometimes most of the time they don't have any more information than what's on the gravestone. So I research it and I put a lot more in there. So when someone looks up someone on Find a Grave on our Find a Grave, they're gonna get a lot more information. Sometimes you can't find the information, it's sad.
No, sometimes
We
you
need
can't.
protege for
Yeah.
Lou. We need somebody to get all that.
Well, I
collected
100%
information.
agree.
Just her researching information.
Well,
I'd like to know all those places. I love doing that too, by the way.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
Jeremy, any questions for Lou? No. Okay, Jenny?
She's willing to do.
All right. All right. Lou, thank you much, very, very much. Dennis, please come up, good to see you. Dennis, you've been on for a number of years as well.
Yes, very.
And I have to ask you, although I'm asking more for the group, because I believe I already know, what makes you passionate about this particular board?
Well, I've lived in Idaho Springs since 1970. And in 74, we bought a house that was built in 1896. And we have, throughout these years, we've done a little bit here, a little bit there to maintain the historic character of that house. We did have an addition built in the back, but you can't see it from the street, which is kind of nice. I'm always interested in what other folks have in mind for their property, their historic preservation, if you will. And I've always spoke in favor of various things. I tried not to be too negative about things, but I try to speak in favor of things. I'm a member of the Masonic Lodge, and we have done a lot there to maintain it as a great structure. I've been a member of the Historical Society since 1990, I guess, and done a lot of work with their various projects. I carry a ring of keys with me. It's kind of like the keys to the city. And quite often when I go by the Underhill Museum downtown, and it's closed, and I see people outside looking through the window. Well, you want to come in and take a look? And after about half an hour, why, they go away and they drop some money in the box.
Awesome.
I try to do that as best I can with the central hose also. We have a lot of things in the central hose that need to be restored, and I don't know if they'll ever get done during my lifetime, but trying to save them. When people come by and are looking through the windows of the central hose, I'll do the same thing, take them inside, show them around. The other day, a lady in this group, people dropped a $20 bill in a little box there. That was kind of nice. I show them the tower and explain to them the various codes around town through that mechanism. What do they call that mechanism, Jeremy?
Thinking of, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I know how it works, I just can't.
But there's a mechanism in the central hose that is one of the very few remaining in the United States. And if you pulled a box
It's basically a box.
from one end of town, it would ring a certain code, and all the firefighters would go to that end of town. And there were several of those pole stations around town.
Is that the one that's at the 6th Street goes house too? Or is that just a siren tower?
That's a siren, so it's a box alarm system that it does function. There's two of the boxes I know still exist. I know where two of them are. I don't know, probably more.
Are they hiding?
Probably, but I know where two of them are. One's actually mounted on the current station out of Springs. So yeah, he was heavily involved in that restoration of that building.
Oh, yeah.
Selling T-shirts and raising money for the $19,000 grant match. So this will give you an example of what you're involved in.
I think we spent about $250,000 on that building. And I think part of that money came from excuse me, came from the city, came from a grant. And I'm not sure where it all came from, but it's one of the very few buildings around that is historic. And I just love taking people in there and show them around, show them the old equipment, tell them about how we're gonna make it more historic in the future. It's really been a joy for me. And I've really enjoyed the 6th Avenue Hose House building getting restored.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
I think $20,000 for that restoration came from
25,
Clark Flynn, Arlie Clark.
it was 25,
It was
it
25.
was 25, the Historical
Yeah.
Society held that for a number of years.
But I spoke with Arlie and Les quite often about restoring that building. Lo and behold, they give us $20,000 or $25,000. I do that all over town and try to keep people thinking that once it's gone forever. Save it.
Dennis, thank you. I was just trying to keep it even on time. Wise. Is there any council pressing questions? Dennis, I think you have done a very good job answering our questions. And thank you very much for your letter of interest too. I appreciate it. And everything that you have done also with these buildings that we're talking about right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So you guys can come
Thank
out.
you.
That's it, done.
Phyllis, please join us. Welcome.
Are you sure there's time?
Yeah, sure it is.
We'll make time.
First of all, when Reba was here, Kate mentioned that Reba got her into it. Well, I'm the one that talked Reba into it. And as to Lou, she was doing the cemetery anyway. So I said, why don't you come and be on the committee? Now, that's out. Thank you for giving us all this opportunity.
Oh, well, and I'll start off with asking what makes you so passionate about this board?
This is a unique town. I've lived here. I wasn't born here, I didn't grow up here, but I've certainly lived here a very long time. And the level of history that's here, when you consider what George Jackson did, finding gold, blah, blah, blah. They can say it happened in Pikes Peak all they want, but it didn't. So it's the idea of saving something. The work that's been done through the committee in the past. You all are deciding about the train, which is supposedly one of the properties that the committee is supposed to oversee. But that's been sitting there deteriorating for a really long time. The work that was done at the library, which I was very involved in, but it had nothing to do with facilities. It's just the idea of saving things so that not everything has to be new. This is not a town where things are new. So I enjoy being involved.
All of us.
Promoting that. Well, yeah, there is that. So I enjoy being involved in all of that.
All right, Janine, any questions? All right.
I worked with you and that, Phyllis, to know a little bit about your thoughts.
All right, so Kate, no,
Yeah, okay.
Scott, do you have anything?
Yeah, I know you quite well, and,
I talked you into being on the committee too.
yes, you do. So could you describe a little more of your involvement in the beautiful library that we have here in town?
Well, again, that wasn't under sites and facilities. I was a contracted employee of the library district. We wrote the grant applications. And then I was project manager for both the interior and exterior, which are two separate projects. We had hoped to move right on to landscaping, but then there was this little thing called COVID and that kind of put a stop to everything, but I'm so glad that you all finally got around to finishing it off so that it looks as nice, so that the grounds look as nice as the building does.
All right, very good. Lisa?
Yes, I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked others.
I have my answer too.
Oh, good. Why did the committee not meet for 4 years?
I don't believe it was 4 years. I understand that's what you've been told. I don't know who told
Where
you
are the
that, or,
meetings? Where are the
or
minutes?
if anyone would actually know. There was a long period of time when we didn't meet. I honestly don't think it was 4 years. We were not given any encouragement from the then administration. That was part of it. We had certainly different council people, different mayor, different administrator, a lot of that, and anything that we wanted to do cost money. Well, what was the point in meeting and suggesting that things be done when you knew they were going to get shut down from day one?
It's always a no if you don't ask. It's always a no if you don't ask.
It was a no anyway, Lisa, you weren't here.
No, that's right. I wasn't here, but that's not taking accountability, you know?
No, you're right, it isn't, but we weren't given any either. So that's maybe not a good reason, but it's an honest one, which maybe is the best you can do.
Jeremy, any questions?
No, but just to add, the period of time we're talking about was contentious at best with historic preservation for those of us that were involved with Phyllis. And yeah, there was no desire from the city during that period of time to do anything that was involved preserving the history of town because it cost money. So there were a lot of things that occurred during that period that were off the books outside of the committee to maintain the buildings and maintain their ability to stand and be restored now. And I think it's a generalization to say that nothing was done during that period of time. Somebody was involved in a lot of that stuff and raising money. And I say begging for money, as we call it. I think there's more history there than I think it's what the minutes would show in all this.
I will add one thing. The trajectory of the city has gone from here to here since I moved here 23 years ago. So there is a lot of that went on as well. We were a completely different city than we were when you guys even designated some of those things as historic and in need of preservation. So it is kind of hard to, like, you know, say these are apples and apples when they kind of really aren't apples and apples, more apples and oranges.
All right, anything further for Phyllis? Phyllis, thank you very much, especially just to everybody coming twice, above and beyond the call of duty. I'm sorry that
Where would it have been if we didn't? I would have said to all of you, we weren't in.
well, because again, it was probably a 1 in 200 chance. We wouldn't have a quorum. We only had 3 council people. I couldn't believe it. Anyways, thank you very much. Mike, you're up next, and thank you, sir, for patiently waiting and for coming twice as well. Mike, you come with us with another great background.
Yes.
Including recently presenting in Wyoming, I believe, some historical.
Yes, I gave a presentation at a joint conference of the planners in Wyoming, and it's an organization called Western Planners for the Western States. And I gave a presentation at the conference.
And I would start you off with the same question. Your passion for this board. And I will say I have been very thankful for the service that you have provided to the city.
Well, when the architects resigned from the HPRC, Andy called me and asked would I apply to be on that board, because the state actually requires an architect to be on that board. And in some of our meetings on HPRC, it was mentioned that maybe it might be useful for this board also to have an architect on it, and that if there was someone who was on both boards, that might be a way of better communication between the two boards, because what they do does overlap. So, and the other thing I mentioned to Andy when he asked me if I would serve is that I also said that I would certainly, since I don't live in Clear Creek County, I said I certainly would defer to a resident of the county or the city who wanted to be on the board. So I think the local representation is a very important thing in any city government. So I think the main thing is, yes, I'm interested in the buildings, and I think it certainly could be useful having an architect on it. But that's where I'm at.
Jeremy, any questions? I don't have any. All right, Lisa?
How do you see, what do you see as far as, because you did the tour, you did part of the tour that HPRC did with sites and facilities. Where do you see sites and facilities heading, like in, let's say, the next 5 years?
I think the first thing is to make sure that all the buildings are in a good structural weatherproof condition. I think that's the first thing, to make sure that everything is in sound, and to see if there's anything that needs to be done immediately on them, so that if there's a problem, it doesn't go further. So I think that's the first step, is to make sure everything's in good condition. Then I think the next thing is to see is, are there improvements that need to be made, or are there any additional facilities that are worth looking at? The other thing that I see as possibly a longer term thing, which I don't think the board is looking at this right now, is that Idaho Springs actually has a very large number of Victorian period buildings, much more beyond downtown. Because I was in Telluride for 9 years on the staff there. And I think there might be more Victorian houses here than there are in Telluride. And so one of the things I see that maybe is a future thing for facilities is to look at, in terms of grant money, is just some kind of program for homeowners in terms of how they can just fix their buildings up. In other words, sometimes it's weatherization, it's maybe painting. So, you know, whether that's through facilities or whether it's through some other mechanism of the city, I think that would be a very worthwhile thing to do, because there are so many houses, and the longer they don't get attention taking care of them, you run into the possibility they're going to deteriorate.
Like the facade improvement programs, like that have been done for businesses, where you do facade improvement and it's grants or state or federal money?
Well, it'd be something like that, but more, I think more along the lines of, a lot of the buildings just need painting, caulking, and just basically weatherization, and that will be beneficial to the homeowner as well, because that should help with their utility bills. In terms of how it's handled, whether it's through a facade, I don't know that it needs to be a facade program, which is basically, that usually means you're trying to get an easement, and I don't think there needs to be an easement. I think it's a matter of helping the homeowner, saying, okay, here's this program where you can do things to fix up your house.
And they don't have to be a part of a historic district, or they don't have to be deemed historic themselves.
I think it'd be better to do exactly what you just said, is that don't put requirements, say, here's something the city could do, here's a program that could help you make improvements to your house.
And that's it, and then leave it at that.
And
If
then
they want to go forward with it.
Yes, if they want to get their property designated, that would be up to them. And that probably might encourage some people to do that. Some people would probably like to have
Get that
a designation.
enthusiasm going.
I love the idea
It's a
of
good idea, yeah.
helping people with the houses.
Janine, any questions?
Do you currently serve on the HRPC?
Yes.
Do you, any conflict serving on both of you?
Oh, that's always possible. And as a matter of fact, in the last, with the library, wasn't the canon, it was the World War II memorial, with the two boards, I think, had different opinions as to what should be done with that. And that's probably we're thinking in advance of, okay, how should that be handled, or maybe if you have someone on both boards, they need to abstain.
All right, anyone else for Mike? Mike, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we are a few minutes over. I would like to touch on one last thing, and that is the Kramer lease for the I-70 riprap storage. Andy?
What this is a request from, and it's in the council for approval, or in the council regular meeting packet for approval as a resolution release. And this would allow the Kramer Construction Company that are working on the I-70 project at Floyd Hill. They need a place for temporary storage of riprap. And this would just be temporary. They would restore the old sewer site, which is just east of exit 241. They would restore that probably better than it is right now. This was also done back when the twin tunnels were constructed. This was used as a staging site. As you know, there's very little space for staging and for storage, particularly with a project of this size. And Paul Crane, our public works superintendent, is supportive of this request. It would still allow us as a city to have an area for our needs for storage of materials. And so we think it makes good sense for the city to offer this, to allow this for the next several years while this project is being completed.
Is there any compensation
Yeah.
for that?
There's a
Or is it
small amount of compensation, yeah.
small amount?
Was it
Yeah.
What is it, $10 a year or something?
How much?
$10.
But they're gonna leave it better than when they found
They'll
it,
do
like,
it.
that's the.
I'm gonna go take
That's,
that.
that's compensation.
It really
Trying to
is,
improve
and that's really in
Right.
the city's interest, I think. Yeah.
So I don't know.
We have too much dirt.
Is that clarified though? That's clarified what we're
In the
asking?
agreement?
Yeah,
Yes,
of what we want them to do with the site
yes, I think
Like
so.
specifically,
So
specifically.
we
It
have
is?
too much rock and dirt and we'll be better off with less rock.
I make that happen and I'll give them $10.
And then what's the aftermath of that for that site? Is it?
It would be a park-like setting, you know, right along the greenway there. The only access is by the greenway now, from
Yeah.
off of.
It is owned by the Greenway, right?
Yeah.
It is, right,
And
so
so
we
It goes
have,
right by.
yeah.
so it'll be when they're done, it'll be a park
Yeah.
and like an extra place where people can go and do park things.
There will be a part of that area that still needs to be for material storage for the city, but most
Snow
of it would
storage?
be, well, I don't know, snow storage, but you know, materials that we need a place to.
Is there any requirements during the
Oh, yeah.
storage?
That's because we got a
There's not
request
something
about-
ungodly sightful that we don't wanna see there, or?
It's, my understanding is it's riprap, so it's like boulders and material is gonna go back along Clear Creek
Okay.
when they're done with the highway project.
Nothing.
And if the greenway is damaged, they'll repair that.
They'll repair
That's
that.
right in there. Because I am concerned about that with the weight of the vehicles
Yes,
coming in and out.
I'm right there with you.
All right,
I mean, if I had to guess, we're paying Carmen some kind of fees to review
We are.
this agreement.
To review all
So
agreements.
we're not making any money.
We're not making any
losing all
money, but I would like to see us have a better, like, a spot
I
that we
mean,
don't have to pay to.
If we could get
Okay.
something, the site improvement in a certain way, if we could get that out of them, that would be a plus.
Paul's listening right at the door
And
there.
if we
so he-
could possibly have our stuff in
But
storage
is that
rather than,
specific, the site improvement is
like
specific?
it's behind something, wouldn't that be?
Dog park?
Even that's specified on the seating for the site.
Okay.
Oh, so we've gone down to, actually you have to see.
Yeah, but I think an addendum there, yeah. right.
Andy,
Oh,
we're over, is there any problem with the intergovernmental agreement, just all of it waiting until the next council meeting, next work session? We're gonna postpone it on the agenda anyways.
The jurisdictional
Yes.
housing authority, no problem at all.
All right, all right, that's
I
good.
just spoke with the county today about it, and I don't see any problem with
Oh,
that.
because they're gonna vote, I thought they were voting on the 18th.
I think they are, yeah, but.
Yeah, and we'll take it up on the 23rd.
Yeah.
All right, I would ask everybody to take 5 and we'll reconvene our regular meeting here in just a little bit.
Thank you everyone for.
What are the new ones? These are so
Really, thank you.
Terrible chair.
6. Yeah, we're one over, and then Katie Maxwell, I'd like to have her regular.
I will.
We are gonna be swearing in.
So it's a little bit of an adjustment. Yeah, I just. I think this is like. So I checked out the.
I understand what you do.
Yeah, so I talked to Julie Marlin, right? And he's like, yeah, the roundup, and so I'm like, you guys only see 200,000. State aid, the feds paid. Oh, no. That was, well, they better replace it. Well, Evergreen has a really good one. Yeah, because they go like on call. I like that a lot.
Always been a kid figure it out. And that's how what happens.
I was on vacation over 3 weekends. I'm sorry, Jack. But I have a literary fest early and I was like, it's gonna be awesome. Like, all of my authors are really excited. I managed to Sandra Dallas out of retirement.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do
Yes, and I just agreed to, being together agreement with the rec center, I was like, I think you guys did some Is there any? Well, we're gonna do the library tour, and I talked to the society, and I said, Jack, can we do a subject, do an Underhill tour? Like, the friends of the library will make donations. Right, I just don't like. Then, Jackie, remember Jackie? 1860 and like 1880 here in Colorado. That's her master's thesis. And so I said, could you be willing to come?
Really hot here.
Mountain Prime is gonna do a dinner. It's a fundraising dinner, but we're gonna base it on historic menu. Jackie will come and talk about what people. I think that is fantastic, like from a historic standpoint, because I do want to do some Colorado history. Although I will tell you, finding my Colorado history authors, they are bananas. Like, they don't.
Oh, okay, excellent.
They're sure, well, like I.
Yeah, excellent, and I did let everybody know, is, for a regular, position from the. Okay. All right, good,
I
thank you.
really want to
I was scrolling.
because he's pretty much just a but I can't find him.
Yes, I would be.
You know, the two.
I would prefer that. Say all the air.
Yeah, like, I was a good one.
I didn't. She's there.
Bill, no pressure, but we're good, okay.
I know, this just gets the full area.
Oh, yes, I have a meeting. Sadie and I.
Are these gonna be openable? Just have to wear. All we need is.
Would you get one?
Oh, you're going
This is for the code one.
Hello, I would like to welcome everybody to the September 9th, 2024 regular council meeting for the city of Idaho Springs. We'll start off. We will start here at 7:14, and we'll start off with roll call, please.
Janine Mariani. Scott Fennell.
Here.
Jim Clark. Kate Collier.
Yes, I'm here.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones, Mayor Tucker.
Here, all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. We have an agenda before us tonight, and I would like to make one amendment, and that is the approval of the intergovernmental agreement establishing the multi-jurisdictional housing authority. You'll find it under resolution 21 series 2024. We'll take up at our next meeting on the 23rd. And with that amendment, do I have a motion?
I motion to move that to September 23rd, 2024.
And to approve the agenda?
To approve the agenda with that, sorry, I totally,
Well, that's all right.
my brain
Lisa.
fell out for that.
That's
I
quite all
motion
right.
move to approve the agenda for the September 9th, 2024 meeting with the addendum.
All right, thank you, Lisa. And do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, thank you very much, Kate. And does anyone tonight feel they have a conflict of interest?
Did you vote on the agenda approval?
Yes.
All in favor?
Woo, it's a happy night for everybody.
I'm telling you, that's what happens. You start a little late.
Catches up.
Yeah, catch up to you. All right, we have a first and a second. All those in favor of the agenda, please raise your right hand and signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Good catch. All right. We will.
On conflict, I'm gonna not vote on the second reading. The municipal code change, just because I will be the one enforcing that
Oh, I got you.
change, so that's something.
All right, thank you for that transparency, Jeremy. Anyone else? All right, hearing none, we'll go to approval of the minutes. And do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the minutes from August 26th, 2024.
Thank you, Janine. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
All right, second for Jeremy. We'll move to approval of the bills. Do I?
We need to vote.
Oh, God. It's embarrassing. I've never done it.
Is there a game on or
All
what's going
right,
on?
I'm telling you, I know the rugby game was pushing me. All right, we have a first and a second, and that'd be nice. All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes, please raise your right hand, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, we're on a roll for sure. All right, moving along to the bills, to September 9th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
I move to, oh, sorry, go ahead, Jeremy.
Make a motion to approve the bills through September 9th, 2024.
Thank you, Jeremy. Do I have a second?
I'll do it.
All right, and I think, was that second from Lisa?
Yes.
All right. Any questions of the bills? All right, then hearing none, roll call, please.
Janine Mariani.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Kate Collier.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Yes.
Mayor Tuck Harmon.
Yes. And do we have any public comment tonight?
Yes, Mayor. we do.
All right. All right, Heather, please come up. Welcome.
Can you, yes, can you state your name and address?
Yes, my name is Heather Campbell. My address is 1521 Colorado Boulevard, PO Box 300.
And do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely. Hi.
Hey.
So on November 13th, 2023, a lot of you weren't here, the city council voted to approve a 3-story hotel to be built in my neighborhood directly next to my house. the board also promised me that they would follow, and you can go back and listen to it, would follow all of the ordinances, that you would make the property owners follow all of the ordinances when they were going through the process. To date, that has absolutely not occurred. There have been multiple, nobody's following any rules over there. So this is a picture that my husband sent me on Thursday, which was the 5th. I have 12 windows that directly overlook this property from my house. Every time I move around my house, I have vantage out to this property. Just looking in the yard, there is clearly asbestos abatement going on at this property. So he calls me, honey, have you heard from the city? It looks like they're doing asbestos abatement on the property. It's like, absolutely not. They would certainly let us know. They said they would let us know if they're doing asbestos abatement next month. So I'm sorry, Kate Collier, I have to apologize to you because Kate's always my like, what is going on? So I call Kate. Kate, does the city have a permit to do asbestos remediation next to my house without letting me know? She goes, what? So she calls Wender, asks her a question, Wender goes through the process. No, the city doesn't have any permits on file for this property doing asbestos remediation next to my house, right? So at that time, I also mentioned they're also not following any of the ordinances, including section 1621, the weed and grass control, section 1642, noxious weeds, etc. And I asked that my name not be included because it's a favorite thing to do when you complain about something or whoever is going out to see this person to say, hey, so-and-so said, cut your weeds down. So here I am, I'm outing myself in front of the city council saying, use my name. I'll leave all these with you. Weeds, 3 feet, 5 feet tall, all around the building. Here, nobody cuts the weeds. This is in your downtown historic district, right on the corner. All your visitors get to see this. More. The one time they actually cut their weeds right before 4th of July, before I was going to call Kelly Baby in because of a fire hazard, they cut them and left them all over the sidewalk for everybody to see, of which I, of course, cleaned up for them. Not following the ordinances until I put that out, and then they cut the weeds down at the top. Let's get back to the important thing, the lack of permits. Get that, but I have such a long email stream.
Heather, I'm sorry, it's 3 minutes of public
I know,
comment.
I'll take my husband's 3 minutes.
Oh, that actually is fine,
Yes.
thank you, all right.
I'll continue.
Yeah, all right. No, and that, by the way, he is on the sign-up sheet, so that's
Correct.
fine.
So after not knowing if it's really asbestos, approximately 30 minutes later, this sign is posted right outside my rose gardens. Yes, we're doing asbestos mitigation. Still no permit. You have to follow the thing, I'll leave it all. So, Wonder, thank you for getting back to me. You were amazing. Wonder got back to me and said, hey, I don't know what's going on. Contacted Safe Built, right? They're gonna come down. They're apparently the building control people or whatever. So anyway, I don't hear back anything. Thank you for letting me know. Don't hear back, don't hear back. Apparently we contacted them or something, the signs go down. Okay, so great. We're not doing asbestos remediation. So today we go back outside because I'm working at home. And the workers are back. We have new asbestos mitigation signs back up on the building. Do you want to say Friday? I did say, hey, what's going on? Nobody got back to me, right? So today hey, they're back there. The workers are back there doing asbestos mitigation, no permit from the city of Idaho Springs. What's going on? Radio silence. Then I get code enforcement sends me a message. We've contacted them regarding the asbestos rubble pile, which they had put outside on my fence. This is asbestos material that has been taken from the house with no permit in the city of Idaho Springs. Okay, so I need to go faster. Anyway, radio silence, I call Safe Built myself. It's like, hey, what's going on with this? It's like, well, apparently they had a state permit, but they never got a permit from the city of Idaho Springs. Shouldn't be doing anything until that permit, right? Call to find out when I should come down, have a discussion and say, hey, who's in charge and what's going on with who's taking care of me and my rights and asbestos outside my house in my yard. Paul did fill me in on what was happening, but in the meantime, a very nice guy from Safe Built, Terry, stopped by to fully brief us. He also told us that at no point during this supposedly asbestos mitigation should any material be removed from that property. They've been taking stuff out of that house for over 2 weeks. What's the level of responsibility? Who's in charge of this project? And why are we, as the neighbors most directly affected, not being in the loop, not being contacted? Well, you didn't even know about the asbestos abatement. So my point being, if a permit's pulled, if they've done anything, you need to notify us. We're the ones who live there. We're the ones who have to deal with the asbestos, whatever in the giant pile that's outside my rose garden, which I'm in every day. And there, you have to be responsible. Somebody has to be responsible. And I'm sorry, Kate, that you're always the one that it's like, what is going on?
I just wish I
Nobody's
had answers for you.
answering me and nobody's answering the city council. So that's my point.
Heather, thank you. That was an excellent point. And we thank everybody that puts themselves out there on public comment. It was very kind of you to share this with us. I can assure you this is the first any of us have heard of this, but thank you very much.
And that's my point. I'm putting you on public comment because you promised me that wouldn't happen.
I never
Please
said
fix it.
to you a thing about asbestos mitigation.
Well, that's true, but you said they follow all the codes. Thank you.
All right, next up, Margaret, please come on up. And we will talk about, I've got you down for street lighting and sidewalk hazards. And Margaret, it's 3 minutes, and please don't be offended if there isn't back and forth with council, just because it's our time to listen.
Oh, I understand.
All right, thank you.
Can you just state your name and address for the record?
Oh, Margaret Smith, 1430 Miners Street, Idaho Springs, Colorado. Okay. I don't have to do any of that, right? Okay. A few things. One is following up on, I'm frustrated about this lighting situation on Minor Street. The light pole in front of the deli, which is 1424 Minor Street, and the light pole at 1435 Minor Street in front of the Wild Grape. I contacted Paul July 17. He says, I'll get Excel. They're the ones that have to come and place our lights. I followed up with Paul on the 25th of July. And and then I was going to contact Excel myself, but you have to work through you guys. So I'm just trying to shed some light on the fact that we don't have lights out there. The, particularly when Tommy Knocker, well, it's a no-brainer, but particularly when Tommy Knockers closes, now that whole end of the block is dark. So it's, you know, when I recorded it July 17th, it had been out a long time. I just kept forgetting to report it, you know, and help out there. So it shouldn't take 2 months and, you know, and I don't know where it is on whatever, but our lighting, that needs to be taken care of. And like I said, I don't know. Anyhow, the other thing that's kind of developed over the summer, at least on my block, I can only speak to that, is the tripping hazard that has evolved in front of near the deli, near my place and near the jewelry place, there are, I don't know whether it's gas or water that's access to that. The bricks around it, the sidewalk has sunk. So these things are standing up. And I think it could be solved fairly easily, but I've seen people fall and I've seen a number of people trip. So, and that's city responsibility, your liability there. And I don't know what's happening, but that's my best assessment of what's going on. And I know we're gonna be redoing things within the next year or two, but in the meantime, like I said, I see people tripping and have seen people actually go down on the sidewalk, fortunately not hurt. That's it.
All right, Margaret, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
sharing that with us. We really appreciate you right on time, by the way.
Oh, that's very strange, something.
All right, well,
Thank you.
thank you. And Margaret, if you wouldn't mind, we are gonna do swearing in here after our voting, and that's up next.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll wait.
All right, and by the way, do we have any public comment online?
I don't have anyone online.
Okay, all right. And we will move on to the boards and commission member appointments. There were 6 people interested in historic sites. Please write down 5 names. And then again, I would mention that Katie Maxwell has already been an alternate on our planning commission and has been the one letter of interest that we received to be a regular member. So if that would be your choice, please write her separately, either at the bottom or on the back of the paper. And then we will have 6 ballots for Wonder.
Oh, no, I think we're good.
You good?
I didn't write it on mine, but.
Exactly. I didn't write it on.
Space that part of
All right, you're fast. All right, and I have to ask about Katie.
Katie was, oh, yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Katie, you're watching,
All right,
congratulations.
well, we will take care of swearing Katie in at the next planning. And in the meantime, I would invite Phyllis, Mike, Reba, Lou, and Margaret to all please stay for the swearing in.
Who would like to be first? Phyllis. Sorry, her hand went up.
This is yours, I'm gonna read it. You, Phyllis Adams, solemnly declare and affirm that you will support and uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado, and the laws and ordinances of the city of Idaho Springs, and that you will faithfully perform the duties of Historic Sites and Facilities Board Member for the city of Idaho Springs, upon which you are about to enter.
I do.
I'll get out of the way. I'm standing over here by Andy.
Well, thank you, Phyllis. Next up, we have Mike.
You, Michael Davenport, solemnly declare and affirm that you will support and uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado, and the laws and ordinances of the city of Idaho Springs, and that you faithfully perform the duties of Historic Sites and Facilities Board Member for the city of Idaho Springs, upon which you are about to enter.
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mike. Reba, please come up.
Reba Bechtel, do you solemnly declare and affirm that you will support and uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado, and the laws and ordinances of the city of Idaho Springs, and that you will faithfully perform the duties of Historic Sites and Facilities Board Member for the city of Idaho Springs, upon which you are about to enter? Thank you. Congratulations, welcome.
All right, thank you. Lou, you're up next, please.
Do you, Lou Howard, solemnly declare and affirm that you will support and uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado, and the laws and ordinances of the city of Idaho Springs, and will you faithfully perform the duties of Historic Sites and Facilities Board Member for the city of Idaho Springs, on which you are about to enter? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Lou. And Margaret, you're up next.
Do you, Margaret, solemnly declare and affirm that you will support and uphold the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution and laws of the state of Colorado, and the laws and ordinances of the city of Idaho Springs, and that you will faithfully perform the duties of historic sites and facilities board member for the city of Idaho Springs upon which you are about to enter? I do. Thank you. So, yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
May I speak for just?
Of course, Phyllis, come on up.
2 questions. Some of us are 4-year terms, some of us are 2-year terms. Who decides that? Maybe you can't answer that this second, but it's something that
What a
needs to be
straw.
answered. And secondly, reading your package in Andy's report, I find that we already have a meeting scheduled. To my knowledge, nobody checked with anybody that might be on the board to see about their availability. And I know there's at least one appointed member who has a conflict on that Tuesday. Unless it was a typo. The report says that sites and facilities will need to consider a certificate of appropriate, which does seem to be confused. But I also know that the way it's supposed to work now, the sites and facilities would decide on one and be the requesting body to the HPRC, so I wasn't sure.
It's
what you-
HPRC.
So, okay, so you were just so wrapped up in us that you put down the wrong. Okay,
It's HPRC.
okay. So
Because
then,
HPRC does.
yes, I know. But it said site and facility. So
Sites and facilities will be like for the city sites, sites and facilities will be the requester.
I understand, and this is for the powder house, which is one of the things, again, that we're supposed to be responsible for. So I'm surprised to hear that it's already going to HPRC, but that's beside the point. So we need to know who's a 2-year and who's a 4-year term. And if you want us to decide that, I suppose I can.
I think that the board should, this council should decide that.
Well, then, either way,
But we will, and thank you for pointing that out. That is important.
yes, it is. And we also need to know, we're supposed to meet quarterly, obviously more often if needed, but we'll need to know when.
Well, wouldn't you guys be better suited to like make that decision going forward for the group? Since you're all brand new, you guys could probably come up with a date that you.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Again, the city can decide. Just like you long ago decided for the planning commission and HPRC and so forth, to make the decision for us, or you can direct us to make our own decision and let you know what we decided.
Should the board have something like the not the vitality, the new board, what is it called that we looked at today, the rules of governance? Something like that?
It's like Robert Rules of Order, right? Parliamentary.
Rules of procedure. You're already
Rules of
running late.
procedure, thank you.
I'm sorry, don't forget to vote. Going forward, but those are the 2 things we'll need answers.
All right. No, you're absolutely right. And thank you, Phyllis. Appreciate it.
HPRC meets Tuesday. Council meets tomorrow.
So anyway,
All right.
I just wanted to go in.
Wonder, I don't want to cut you short. Are you ready to continue?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank everybody. Thanks very much. All right. So we don't have our finance officer with us tonight, and we'll move on to resolutions, starting with resolution number 20. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve resolution number 20, series 2024, a resolution approving the lease of real property owned by the city, known as parcel number 1833-314-00-900, the old sewer plant property, to Kramer North America for temporary storage and similar construction uses related to I-70 Floyd Hill project.
Thank you, Scott. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
There you go.
I'll second.
Okay, Lisa, thank you for the second. And any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Janine Mariani,
Yes.
Scott Pennell,
Yes.
Kate Collier,
Yes.
Lisa Manifold,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones.
Yes.
Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes, and as previously discussed, we'll be tabling resolution number 21, series 2024 for our next meeting on the 23rd. We do have an ordinance first reading, ordinance number 19. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve ordinance number 19, 2024, series 2024, an ordinance adding a new Article 5 of Chapter 5 of the Idaho Springs Municipal Code to establish the Business and Community Promotions Board.
Thank you, Scott. Do I have a second?
I'll do it.
Thank you very much, Kate. And any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Janine Mariani.
Yes.
Scott Pennell.
Yes.
Kate Collier.
Yes.
Lisa Manifold.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Jeremy Jones. Mayor Chuck Harmon.
Yes. We do not have any second readings tonight. City attorney is up next. Anything for our regular discussion? And by the way, welcome, Carmen. Good to see you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You too. Hi, council. No, nothing for the open meeting, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. City Administrator, Andy, we have your report and just wanted to check in and make sure you didn't have anything further to share.
The one thing I wanted to mention is just highlight the community engagement mixer, which is going to be held on Monday, September 16th from 6 to 8 at the former Carlson Elementary School. It's being facilitated by the Clear Creek Economic Development Corporation and involve the school district making some comments. Our city planner, Dylan, will be there to talk about the process for a change in use of the building and what might be possible there. The school district's going to be selling that property, so there's a lot of interest. It's right at the entrance to our downtown. So if you can attend that meeting, that would be a good one to present.
And that
All
is
right.
6 to 8, Andy?
6 to 8 at the old Carlson Elementary School.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We will then move down to City Clerk. Wonder, did you have anything further to share with us tonight?
No, Mayor, I do not.
I would want to point out the sales tax numbers. While we were down a couple percent for the month, we're still up about 3.25% for the year. So it's close to inflation. And I do want to point out one really glaring statistic that Wonder shared with us that I'm sure probably jumped out at all of you. 2,300 calls in 1 month. I mean, that literally is more than 100 calls per days that we're open for business. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. Anyways, thank you. That itself seems very overwhelming.
Is that for a certain reason or
Wonder?
It's usual.
usual?
Yeah, this is the usual.
But lately she's been sharing these numbers and they're astronomical. Really gives us yeah, I can't even imagine getting anything done with those kind of interruptions.
Can I ask a question though? What have you guys like kind of charted out what the calls are about? Is there any way to?
So we can separate external to us, which means no incoming, and that's the first number. That's all external numbers. That's not me calling Dylan, Andy calling in. So I think it's like 1,700 from exterior entities. The 23 is us also calling each other, not faxes, not voicemails.
But what I'm just like, what is the top? Have you guys extrapolated the
No, it's
topics?
hard. I know every phone call is recorded. I can't even imagine trying to look.
No, I
through all
wouldn't want to do that. I was
information.
just thinking maybe
But-
like a topic sheet and you're like doing stacks, like, is this about?
It's
my
building,
bill?
it's water bills, it's
I'm just trying to think if
planning
we
stuff.
could figure out a way.
court is a
we
lot
could
paying
do.
tickets, a lot of payments
Right.
over the phone. It's pretty well rounded. It's everything. Street stuff, what's happening here, work orders
So-
for public work.
So what I'm hearing in that conversation, that you're getting so many questions and you're saying it's about streets or court, then that seems to me like there probably should be like a little break between them getting one of you guys, and we have a place that we can direct them. Well, they will get update on what's going on in the streets. You know what I'm saying is that you
A
don't have,
menu, we need a
you
menu.
need a menu.
Like a phone tree.
Well,
lack of
phone
a
tree,
thing.
just
You
something to, so that if,
Direct.
if we're not giving them the information, you are their only resource.
Right.
So it's on us to be the communicators.
Right. And I think the new website helps with that. 'cause we
I've
can
heard
put
good
street
things.
projects and
Yeah.
stuff on
Yeah,
it
the
with
website is-
contacts and stuff.
Mhm.
So I try to put that, we all try, I think, try to do our stuff right away to have that out there to help eliminate all these calls.
Yeah.
For sure. And just having accurate rates on the website, that's eliminated a lot of the
Right.
calls. You know, so I can't, like before, like probably 6 months ago, it was probably way more.
No,
I'll
because
have
that's
to look at
absurd.
that next year.
There's gotta be, we've gotta figure out something that you
Well-
guys don't have to be fielding everyone.
I'm sure you can attest to this, but problem with fielding that many calls is you're right in the middle of a task or
Yeah.
doing something, right?
Constant interruption.
And then constantly getting interrupted in the middle of that, that's
That's like 5
not a
minutes
healthy
every time
work
you get a phone
environment.
call.
Yeah.
No, I'm in 100%, what I'm saying is that we must absolutely find a way to mitigate that.
Yes,
It's longer than that. By the time you deal with the phone call and then get back to your task, there's,
lost
oh,
time.
yeah, there's a bunch of lost time there.
Yep.
Well, there seems to be some significant piece that we could put into that gap.
So you do think the website has helped? Because
I
I
do.
think the website looks great, and when I talked to
Yep.
Dylan about who is handling the website, and he said you guys are pretty much handling like your sections.
Yeah.
I think the website looks great. I've heard really good things from people who are using the website. And I think the website is so much better.
Yeah, and it's got a calendar on there for events and such things. You know, so if you can't get through on the phone, there's another avenue for you to find that information also.
And to Kate's point, it would seem like we could cut out 400 or 500 with a phone tree,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that wouldn't be so reliant on you transferring them to Andy or Dylan or something, you know, so.
Right, I mean, we're still there for them if they have questions or can't get what they want, so we're always available, but it definitely would help route people to who they're trying to reach.
Mhm.
Absolutely, and that seems like, we don't have John to do that right now, but that seems like something that we should research to get that going as soon as possible.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you, Winter, appreciate it. Chief, another good report. Just wanted to check in and make sure you didn't have anything further to share tonight.
Just let council know that the 9/11, there'll be the silent march of a minor from City Hall. That'll be, it's actually at 5:30 sharp is when that'll start. I know that Danny arranged to have an army band, I think, like 6 instruments they're gonna play once they get to the end by project support. So it's 5:30 on Wednesday.
All right, 5:30 on Wednesday. I normally would not miss that, but I am gonna be over in Grand Junction for training. So I would encourage as many members of council or staff to please attend.
Where does it start, Chief?
I do have a question.
Oh, yeah.
Right here in front of City Hall.
Chief, can I ask a question, just because I know I was on the planning, I was on the CAT for the Carlson Elementary. How did you feel about the security at the new school?
Good, so we did they organized a specific day and time for us to do a walkthrough of the school. And I thought things went really well. I think there's still some things that need to be ironed out. We've offered to have the security system feed into our police department, because in the past it used to feed over into dispatch, which we all know isn't there anymore. So we offered that, so we're just kind of waiting on their IT people, but they have a lot of things, obviously, moving into a new building to sort of check and work through. So far, we're happy. We'd like to get in there and do some training, maybe during like Christmas break or Thanksgiving break, when aren't kids there.
Like active shooter training or?
Yeah, just building clearing and that kind of training.
Here's my other question, and this is just based on, again, my work with the CAT. Do you feel like with the neighbors that are going to be there, that there is security for the kids and the neighbors? Because I know they're gonna have like the pre-K, and then they wanna have the arts and education upstairs, like, and one of the concerns was keeping all that separate from the kiddos.
Right. We did get a chance to actually see both areas, but obviously they're not built out. They're just completely a shell. So, and I don't have a full understanding as to how they're going to have that separation.
Okay.
So I guess more to follow on that, but the school district is pretty good at involving us, and we do have quarterly safety meetings that involve all emergency services in the county. In fact, we have one next week, I believe.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
All right. Anything more for Chief? Okay, we'll go to Public Works. Paul, just want to check in and see if you have anything to share tonight.
I have a couple things, and I'm sorry I did not get that report in, but
Oh, that's all.
V Camp Emergency Trail is just about complete. They're just fine tuning it. And we're looking at ways to block vehicle access, but not block hiker or biker access. So maybe a bollard or gate somewhere off of Virginia Canyon there, so that people can access that with a small Jeep, an ATV, something of that nature. Public Works shop, they're finalizing with controls. Last of the concrete's been poured. And there is a walkthrough on the week of the 23rd. I don't have a specific date on that one yet for a punch list walkthrough. So once I get a specific date, I'll get that out to you guys. If you guys want to join us for that punch list, that'd be great. That'd be a good opportunity to walk through the shop. Field house, we have about another 165 feet of water main that's in service now. There's no one off that service just yet, but it's a main that's been tested and cleared bacterial sampling. We think we fixed the leak on the visitor center roof. We've been applying a bunch of sealants up on the roof there, trying to get that stopped. It's the roofer that came out and helped assess us said just seek and destroy is what his suggestion was. And
Paul, I'm sorry, you said visitor center?
Yeah, the visitor center's roof.
Oh, okay, all right,
The last big rain they had.
gotcha.
They were.
I'm sorry,
inundated.
I didn't know they had a problem last big
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, we've been kind of hunting and seeking and destroying as it was before, but this time we kind of went whole hog and just covered a lot of stuff.
Do you feel like that's gonna get it? Do you feel like you have gotten the?
It's gonna get us by, and this is all patchwork job. The assessment by the roofer was that this roof needs to be replaced.
It's unbelievable, you know, you hear about these lifetime roofs and then, you know,
That's the misconception, and I said the same thing. That was my misconception as well, that these metal roofs are lifetime roofs. And he said, no, that's a big misconception. So I can't speak to it. I'm not a roofing guy. He went through a bunch of points that would say, you know, you sit there and nod your head and go, yeah, I agree.
He's pretty sharp, this guy.
He also gave an assessment on the library roof. I have not checked in with the library roof. We had a recent rain that would have caused some leakage there. I have not heard anything from them either, but I have not followed up on that one.
Well, with the library, are we still looking at several things? Are we still looking at finding a leak and then letting it sit over the winter to see if we can let that interior and the wall dry out?
It should be able to dry out. Once we find the leak, it should be able to dry out on its own. There was
That's a pretty big.
they opened up a seam that was caulked off that should not have been caulked off, that would allow airflow through there and allow that drying.
With that, Andy, are we still pursuing the insurance claim through the graffiti? Because the roofer did say that spot in the weatherproofing looked like somebody could have stepped inside the gutter and created that leak.
Not sure if that's gonna be approved.
Viable?
Right, but yes.
And my last thing is, we have for sale the excavator, the 307 excavator. What goes along with it, and I didn't include it, was the trailer that hauls the excavator. I want to include that with the sale of the excavator, if that was okay with council.
Yeah, everybody all right with that? Yeah, all right.
I get it out of here quicker.
So, and that's it from Public Works. Thank you.
All right, any questions? for
Yes,
Paul?
so I heard this because I think we were talking about this with the V Camp trails. Is that trail, even though it's blocked off, do we feel like we needed to have access for a small ATV in case we had to do any kind of rescue? Did we need that or?
So it does have that, so.
Oh, it does, okay.
So, in fact, we have on September 11th at 8 a.m. where we, the fire authority, sheriff's department, Alpine Rescue, and EMS, and us are going to go to the trail, and we're going to meet at the future police department right over here with the trailers. And so we'll be taking ATVs and different vehicles. It'll be the first time most of these agencies have had a chance to even see that bee camp. So right now, we're told that the vehicles can't be more than 5 feet wide.
Okay.
And the dirt is still pretty soft, so you don't really want to have anything with tires near an edge because it's pretty treacherous, let's just put it that way. So more to follow. So we're all going to be going up there on Wednesday to see what the access is like.
That's awesome.
Yep, like I said, they were still fine tuning that right now. They were still working on that today, but we were out of the traffic control phase, which ran over by about a week.
Well, I'm glad that you're putting bollards or something up, because somebody will be up the trail.
Yes, they will. Yes, they will. All right, any further questions for Paul? All right, moving on to water facilities. Ed, I saw numbers look pretty good, and you included some photos.
Some cool pictures of
Yeah.
what they were doing at the dam.
Yeah.
That's rolling around nicely. They're totally on schedule and looks like we'll be reasonably within budget.
Excellent. All right.
Not too many surprises.
Yeah. Anything further tonight?
Other than what's in the report, we have been getting back PFAS reports, test reports was this year for drinking water.
And I'm sorry, I just want to ask you, when did that start, that testing start?
That started at the beginning of this year.
Okay.
We've got 2 rounds of sampling completed so far. The one that we just did was during runoff. And the results have come back non-detectable for any of the PFAS or the PFAS family of contaminants.
Which is good.
Yeah, well, gee, I mean, when you compare to other municipal locations, we're rock stars by comparison, you know what I mean?
Right, well, I mean, we get it right off the mountain. There's not anybody
First users
before us using their water.
All right, any questions for Ed? All right, Ed, anything further?
That's it.
Thank you, sir. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. All right, I don't have anything other than I'll be doing some training on the 11th and 12th. But I'll have good cell phone service if anybody needs to get a hold of me for anything. And does anybody here on council have anything further before we move into executive session?
I do.
Yeah.
One is like the bus that's now meeting at basically in front of the White House on Colorado Boulevard, the one that Heather was talking about before. When did we decide to put that bus stop there temporarily? Can we move it to in front of a more commercial area rather than right in front of someone's private home?
Well, I thought that was in front of
It technically is, but it's not. Well, it was supposed to be in front of the resource center, which is whatever the post office is, but it's not. It's picking up directly in front of that person's house again. So they're feeling very piled on, let's just put it that way. If there's any way we can move that to something more commercial.
We have to walk out some parking
Which
for,
bus?
specifically for bus parking. That's probably why the bus is pulling up in front of our
Well,
houses.
that's all residential only parking though. So they shouldn't be parking there anyway.
Which bus is it?
That work will end.
I think it's Mustang, yeah.
There's a bus, because there's Mustangs, Mustang, and the Pegasus. I've seen them in front of the Elks.
Yeah.
Because that's where the
I'm just relaying
westbound,
the
yeah.
information.
Yeah,
We can just
that
double check.
work will end on the 13th.
Okay, I'll let her know that. And then going back to the asbestos thing, do we apply fines for this, that kind of stuff? Non-compliance, no permit. And we're not just talking about your weeds, we're talking about something that can potentially be health threatening. So what are we gonna do about that? We don't need to answer that today, but I do think it's a question. These guys are not good players. They just aren't. And I don't think this is one of those things that they should get away with. That's just my 2 cents.
And Kate, I want to thank you for passing along photos earlier.
Thanks.
That was the first I'd heard this.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, they're right on top of it. So they're, you know, and I work with Heather, so I hear everything.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, anything further before we move into executive session? All right. I guess we will,
During that meeting?
yep, we are going to go into executive session, and we will be coming out only for the purposes of adjourning our regular meeting at the conclusion of the executive session. Night, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Good night, guys. See you later.
So you, once you guys make the motion to go in, I will end the regular meeting through Zoom and start the Zoom that Nick is on.
All right, sounds good.
The way it is in town.
Well, Nick and Carmen, welcome.
No, I have to fully end this meeting
You
and
have to
start a new meeting.
move in,
You have to
make the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a motion to move into executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-402, parentheses 4, parentheses E, to discuss matters subject to negotiation and to instruct negotiators concerning potential deed restrictions in Block 57 development. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, second from Lisa. And any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand and signify by saying aye.
Aye.